The next idea is called Save the Cassava. Laura Boykin, a computational biologist in Australia, seeks to empower African scientists with the knowledge of genomics and high performance computing skills to not only tackle the whitefly cassava disease, but also to curb future insect outbreaks. Over to you, Laura.
Okay. Um, right. I'm praying to the clicker gods right now. All right. So, white flies, with the Latin name Bemisia tabaci, are the world's most devastating insect pests. They have a global distribution. They all look alike. They transmit viruses, ultimately causing billions of dollars in damage each year. These white flies feed on the leaves of over 600 plants. It's during this feeding that the viruses are transmitted from the whitefly to the plant. And of the 600 plants that these whiteflies feed on, arguably the most important is cassava. Cassava leaves and roots are eaten by millions of people. Back. You listen to me. So, cassava leaves and roots are eaten by millions of people in South America, Southeast Asia, and many countries in Africa. In fact, 800 million people depend on cassava for their daily calories. You see, cassava is a poverty fighter. If a small scale family farmer has healthy cassava, they can feed their families and they have enough to sell at the market to generate income for important things like school fees, medical expenses, and savings. But cassava is under attack by whiteflies. Whiteflies are transmitting two devastating viruses, cassava mosaic and cassava brown streak diseases, and they ultimately kill the plant. So if there's no cassava, there's no food or income for millions of people. So our global team is dedicated to increasing the cassava production for the strongest women on the planet, the smallholder farmers in East Africa. 80% of the farms in East Africa are owned by women, and they're the sole focus of our research. And my goal on the team, or my role on the team, yeah, come on, is to use genomics, phylogenetics, and supercomputing to study the speciation of whiteflies. So we take individual whiteflies and we isolate their genetic information, and then we put this information into a supercomputer and we generate a phylogenetic tree. And phylogenetic trees can be interpreted much like family trees. Interconnected lines indicate more closely related individuals. So this diagram shows that there are 34 species of whiteflies globally, and not one as previously thought. Identifying more species of whiteflies means that we need to protect cassava from more than one enemy. And this speciation information is given to breeders and other scientists and is used to give farmers resistant varieties to the correct species that they're encountering. Now, but generating these phylogenetic trees is computationally really intensive. So for example, for 19 samples, this many phylogenetic trees is the result. We have thousands of samples, so you can clearly see the need for supercomputing. So currently, collaborators from East Africa are coming to my lab, and this is slowing down our progress, right? They're having to travel to Australia, bring the flies, bring the data. And so one of the things that is definitely needed is we need computational biology capacity in East Africa. And a good place to start is here in Professor Lebobi Livingstone's Applied Mathematics group. These young mathematicians need opportunities. And we also need DNA mobile sequencing technologies and computers so that we can test for these whiteflies and these viruses in the field to prevent the spread of the viruses and the whiteflies. And we have regional facilities to do molecular diagnostics in these countries. So now it's time to add computational biology to the equation and mobile DNA sequencing technology so that we can not only prevent whiteflies and viruses, but also equip East Africa with the technology and the knowledge they need to fight future outbreaks. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. That's just that's amazing. We're gonna